It's the sweltering summer of 1998, and the financial world has been rocked to its core. Russia, a global powerhouse, has defaulted on its debt, sending tremors through the international markets. Investors worldwide scramble to salvage what they can from the wreckage. Yet, amidst this turmoil, one man perceives a golden opportunity. David Tepper, the mastermind behind Appaloosa Management, one of history's most successful hedge funds. Today, we delve into the remarkable story of a man who defied his father's oppressive rule, constructed a global empire from the dust, and became the father he was denied, all by adhering to his own unique investment strategy. Born in the steel-laden heart of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Tepper hailed from a family that straddled the line between poverty and the middle class. An introverted child, he resided in a modest four-bedroom brick row house nestled in the Stanton Heights neighborhood. David was raised in a household of contrasts, shaped by his parents' professions and their personal interactions with him. His father, Harry, an accountant by trade, imparted the principle of equity, instilling in David the importance of treating everyone with equal respect. His mother, Roberta, a dedicated teacher, cultivated his innate curiosity and fostered his intellectual growth. Yet, away from the public eye, David contended with a grim truth. Despite the values Harry preached, he was an abusive presence, casting a long shadow of fear over David's day-to-day existence. David's childhood, marred by the spectre of domestic violence, left an indelible mark on his spirit, fueling an intense yearning to break free from the cycle of abuse. His means of escape manifested in a precocious gift for mathematics. David's aptitude for numbers distinguished him from his peers even in his earliest years. As a mere toddler, he astounded those around him with his ability to perform intricate calculations effortlessly in his mind. It wasn't long before David's extraordinary talents were discovered by others. When David was just 5, his sister presented him as her show-and-tell exhibit to her class, eschewing the traditional choice of a cherished toy. The room watched in collective astonishment as the boy, who had yet to receive any formal education, recited multiplication tables with impeccable precision. To build on his early aptitude, David's passion for numbers intensified when his grandfather, a fervent sports enthusiast, gifted him a set of baseball cards. David perfectly memorized the stats for each player, a rare talent that would later prove useful in the world of investing. His early shyness and tendency to retreat into numbers was a byproduct of his home's tense atmosphere, a shadow of his father's unpredictable moods. Yet, it was on the playing field where he found his escape and his voice. Amidst the solemn backdrop of a cemetery, the vibrant energy of football games with friends carved out a space for laughter and connection, a stark contrast to his silent struggles at home. Over time, David's remarkable transformation unfolded. The reticent boy who once retreated into the world of sports began to emerge with a newfound boldness. His humor, once a private comfort, now spilled out in classrooms and hallways, his antics lighting up the faces of his peers, signaling the shedding of a weight once carried in solitude. But not all of David's exploits were harmless fun, though. Once he found himself in hot water after instigating a squirt bottle duel in the chemistry lab. The aftermath led both him and Will Wanamaker, his ever-ready accomplice, to the vice principal's office. As they braced for a choice between a paddling or a suspension, fortune intervened with the unexpected ring of the fire alarm. While David sidestepped that day's disciplinary action, he had been tempted to choose the paddle out of fear of the far graver repercussions awaiting him at home. Despite his innate gift for numbers, high school report cards never bore an A for David. It simply wasn't report cards that defined him. Instead, David came alive under the spotlight, stealing the show as the lead in Bye Bye Birdie. And occasionally, the irresistible allure of free pancakes from the nearby seminary proved stronger than the pull of the classroom, leading David, our math savant, on a savory escapade. Yet, behind that playful exterior, David bore the weight of a much deeper story. Wrestling with dark remnants at home, he also found himself amidst the thorny, complex maze of racial tensions. A testament to that complexity, Peabody High stood distinct. While surrounding neighborhoods remained predominantly white, David's school was an even split, half black, half white, a microcosm of a changing world. The weight of these tensions became palpable during football matches. Facing Westinghouse High School, games were played in haunting silence, with empty stands as a precaution against potential violence. Yet, these societal challenges didn't just stay on the football field. Seeking a job at McDonald's to support his hard-working family, David faced rejection, not for lack of skill or spirit, but because of his afro. But life, much like a football game, has its twists and turns. While one door closed, David found openings elsewhere, from the sizzle of the deli griddle to the doorstep sales of sharp knives and into the flowery air of a busy bakery. Yet, amidst all these ventures, another pivotal chapter unfolded. Driven by his innate knack for numbers, David Tepper made his very first foray into the stock market. Behind this budding interest was more than just curiosity. It was a way for David to find hope and control in a world that had often been harsh, a subtle defiance against the shadows at home. With the determination of someone beyond his years, David made his entry, purchasing 100 shares of career academies at $2 apiece. Today's value, a tidy sum of roughly $600. Yet, as the winds of fortune would have it, career academies declared bankruptcy, dealing a setback to young David. However, this also proved a revelation, serving as his maiden voyage into the turbulent waters of distressed debt. While it felt like the worst of times for young David, it ended up being his secret weapon later in life. Stepping beyond the trials of high school, David's next chapter began at the University of Pittsburgh. With the weight of financing his education on his shoulders, it was time to truly immerse himself in his studies. The same David, who once dodged high school's academic accolades, transformed in college. The report cards now told a different story. They were adorned with straight A's, a testament to his newfound drive and commitment. David's commitment to his studies was matched only by his resolve to financially support his educational journey. He meticulously sought and secured employment at the esteemed Frick Fine Arts Library, a decision that reflected his practical approach to funding his academic pursuits. But the allure of numbers beckoned him once more. And this time, his calculated risks in the stock market paid off, covering not just books, but his tuition and housing too. A student in the day, a budding financier by night. Yet the stock market, as David soon realized, was a fickle friend. Its highs had supported his college life, but its lows threatened to disrupt it. Luckily, when the market turned bearish and trading could no longer foot the bills, David still had his library gig to fall back on. Despite the dance of balancing his studies with the high-stakes world of trading and the quiet sanctuary of library work, David emerged as a shining star at the University of Pittsburgh. He crossed the finish line of his undergrad journey in 1978, his name adorned with the laurels of honors. But for David, this was merely the first chapter in his academic odyssey. Hungry not just for pancakes, but to further his education, David applied and was later accepted to the prestigious business school at Carnegie Mellon University. At the outset, David was daunted by the prestige of Carnegie Mellon, an institution known for its financial acumen. He questioned his own intelligence, having only attended the lesser-acclaimed University of Pittsburgh. However, this self-doubt was soon dispelled. In his inaugural year at Carnegie Mellon, David started with a bang, earning straight A's. His academic performance continued to soar with each successive level of education. This was not merely a consequence of his growing seriousness, but also a reflection of the escalating cost of education. There was no space for frivolity. In a few short years, graduating from Carnegie Mellon with an MBA in hand, David's transformation was complete. From a disinterested high schooler to a business school graduate, he had not just traversed academic terrains, but mastered them. Each book he shelved, each stock he traded, were mere steps in an academic ascent that prefaced a grander ambition. And ambition led him to the industrial heartbeat of Republic Steel. Fresh out of academia, this was a crucible where his financial acumen could be tested, a forge for his future in finance. Here was a gateway to the real world where theories met practice, and David was ready to step through. But the stark reality of the business world greeted David harshly. Within months, the glowing promise of Republic Steel dimmed as the company, battered by economic winds, slashed wages across the board. There, amid the clatter of industry, David encountered his first bitter taste of corporate austerity. It was a somber lesson in the volatility of markets and the fragility of financial security. David, who had analyzed countless companies from a distance, now faced the consequences of fiscal distress firsthand. This setback, however, was merely a prelude to David's resilience and his capacity to thrive amidst adversity. A moment of clarity emerged. David recognized that this environment, while rich with real-world lessons, would not be the soil in which his ambitions would flourish. It was time for a pivot, time to steer towards a path that would lead to financial sovereignty. Drawing on the invaluable insights gained at Republic Steel, David made a strategic pivot to Keystone Mutual Funds, poised to apply his sharpened grasp of market dynamics as a financial analyst. His tenure at Keystone was marked by relentless effort, akin to a workhorse's toil, even though the compensation did not mirror the intensity of his dedication. Nonetheless, his exceptional performance did not go unnoticed. It resonated within the corridors of Wall Street's elite. Barely a year into his role, and at the youthful age of 27, David's prowess earned him a coveted position at the venerable institution of Goldman Sachs. It was clear that David's acumen and drive were rapidly catapulting him toward the upper stratum of the finance industry. Yet he was well aware that his most significant achievements were still on the horizon. In the financial maelstrom of the 90s, with the savings and loan crisis rippling through America's economic waters, David Tepper brought to Goldman Sachs a strategy that would soon be whispered about with a mix of reverence and awe. It wasn't just that he was making money, he was redefining profit within a system on the brink. This period, marked by the tremors of financial institutions quaking on shaky ground, was Tepper's playing field. While the crisis devoured lesser firms, Tepper, with a blend of foresight and nerve, chose to invest in the very eye of the storm, troubled entities like Republic Bank and McCorp. To the casual onlooker, these investments appeared to be fraught with risk, but Tepper saw through the veil of distress. He perceived a lattice of undervalued assets and potential. His moves were not capricious, they were calculated. They spoke of a man who understood that sometimes the essence of strategy is not in avoiding the storm, but in harnessing its energy. David, a financial savant, foresaw the government's intervention in the failing banks, a move that would inevitably lead to their restructuring under new ownership and consequently a surge in their stock value. This astute prediction was a windfall for Goldman Sachs, netting the firm billions. In recognition of his acumen, the company rewarded David with a bonus check of $600,000. Elated, he hurried home to share the news with his wife, Marlene, pausing only to purchase celebratory sugar wafers from a 7-Eleven. Yet, amidst their joy, neither David nor Marlene grasped the fact that David's compensation was a mere pittance compared to his true worth, a realization that would dawn on them only much later. During his tenure at Goldman Sachs, David found a mentor in Bob Rubin, the presiding head of the company's international risk arbitrage desk. Their conversations often centered around equities, and under Bob's guidance, David climbed the corporate ladder, his ascent paralleling the firm's growing fortune. However, the dynamics shifted when Bob ascended to the position of co-chair of the firm, and John Corzine assumed control of the fixed income department. David, despite the change in management, continued to seek Bob's counsel. Corzine, though a competent leader, lacked the depth of understanding that Bob possessed in the realm of corporates, his expertise lying more in the treasury sector. This subtle tension between the old guard and the new, between a mentor's wisdom and a successor's ambition, began to subtly, yet irrevocably, alter David's professional journey. In the high-stakes world of Wall Street, where loyalty is often a commodity and integrity can be a liability, David found himself caught in a web of power plays and ethical dilemmas. But David was not a schemer, nor a manipulator. He was simply a man of diligence who sought answers and efficiency in his work. David said, "I was stupid because I was just working hard and wanted answers and to be as efficient as possible. I wasn't trying to screw or not screw anybody." Yet the complexities of his workplace extended beyond his relationship with Corzine. David found himself regularly at odds with Fisher Black, another player in the Goldman Sachs arena. Black was a man who challenged David's strategies, once criticizing him for overvaluing a stock's debt and urging him to invest in equity instead. David, however, was not swayed by Black's advice. He knew the immediate consequences of such a move could cost him his job. David said, "Fisher, if I listen to you, I'm going to be fired. You're probably right over the longer term, but in the next 3 months, I don't think you're right. If I listen to you, I'm going to get killed." The tension in David's professional life only escalated when he found himself at odds with a powerful partner who managed Sachs' restricted lists. This partner, who had recently launched a fund for bankrupt companies, wanted David to invest in a company he had just removed from the restricted list. David, a man who valued integrity over opportunism, found this suggestion ethically dubious. Even though the legal department had given the green light, David stood his ground. He refused to buy the shares, much to the chagrin of the higher-ups at Sachs. His ethical stand cost him his partnership, a bitter pill to swallow considering the significant profits he had generated for the firm. It was at this critical juncture that David's professional journey took a turn. The frustration of being overlooked for partnership twice, coupled with the realization of his significant contributions to the company, made him see that he was worth more than what Goldman Sachs had to offer. This realization marked a pivotal moment in David's career, a moment that transcended his financial acumen and spoke volumes about his character. In the year 1993, David Tepper, a man who had built a formidable reputation in the hallowed halls of Goldman Sachs, decided to step out of the shadow of the institution and into the glare of the financial world. He was embarking on a journey that was fraught with risk and uncertainty, but held the promise of immense reward. With Jack Walton, his confidant from Goldman's junk bond desk, Tepper founded his own hedge fund, Appaloosa Management. The duo, unflinching in their pursuit of success, saw a staggering 57% return on assets within half a year of Appaloosa's inception. Yet the true magnitude of their achievement didn't dawn on Tepper until 1995. In that year, Tepper, along with another partner, Ronnie Goldstein, decided to spread their wings and take Appaloosa to the global stage. They booked a flight to France, intending to meet with a French bank. Just as they were settling into their first-class breakfast, an explosion reverberated from the back of the plane. One of the engines had failed. Tepper, ever the humorist, quipped to Goldstein, "If we're going to die, I'm finishing my breakfast. I'm not dying without a full stomach." But their journey was far from over. A new Concorde jet was waiting to whisk them away upon their safe return to JFK. Their late arrival in Paris had them convinced that they had missed their golden opportunity. But to their astonishment, the French bank salesman was still eager to meet, even at the stroke of midnight. It was at this juncture that Tepper understood the gravity of Appaloosa's success. However, managing Appaloosa was not without its trials. In 1998, Russia defaulted on its debt, a move that blindsided the financial world. Tepper found himself staring at an $80 million loss, a crushing blow to the empire he had painstakingly built. But Tepper was not one to be easily defeated. Amidst the chaos, he spotted a silver lining. Russian bonds were now severely undervalued. With the flexibility of his low leverage and the ability to invest without margin calls, Tepper took a gamble. He reinvested in Russian bonds when they were at their lowest ebb. His audacious move bore fruit. Tepper saw a 61% gain on his investments, not only recovering Appaloosa's losses but also turning a profit. It was a testament to his resilience and acumen, a narrative of a financier who defied the odds and emerged victorious. Though David's journey at the helm of Appaloosa was marked by many a triumphant stride, the path was not devoid of missteps. The year 2000 bore witness to one such stumble, where David, swayed by the persuasive chorus of his fellow investors, wagered against the Nasdaq. This financial faux pas was a costly one, though not disastrous. Still, David bore the burden of this mistake, marking it as his career's most regrettable trade. Yet, in the face of adversity, David's resolve remained unshaken. He viewed his losses not as defeats, but as lessons. His risks, rather than deterrents, became the stepping stones to rewards. In the wake of his Nasdaq debacle, the year 2001 saw David rebound with a remarkable 67% net return, a feat he achieved by investing in bonds that others had hastily dismissed. 2 years later, he demonstrated his knack for turning the market's lemons into lemonade, multiplying his profits by acquiring the debt of companies that had succumbed to bankruptcy. Among these fallen giants were Enron, WorldCom, and Conseco. When 2009 rolled around and the world teetered on the brink of a financial abyss, David saw not impending doom, but opportunity. His gamble on the banking sector's recovery proved to be a masterstroke, netting him an astonishing $7 billion. This feat catapulted him to the top of the financial world, earning him the New York Times accolade as the year's highest-earning hedge fund manager. That same year, David made a move that would have swelled his sports-loving grandfather's heart with pride. He acquired a 5% stake in the legendary Pittsburgh Steelers, a testament to his personal passions beyond the realm of finance. Today, David Tepper remains at the helm of Appaloosa Management, his eyes always scanning the horizon for the next big wave in the financial seas. His sights are set on the burgeoning frontiers of technology and artificial intelligence, sectors ripe with potential. Yet he has plans to gradually reshape Appaloosa into a family office, a move designed to keep the operation lean and the returns robust. The heart of the sportsman in David still beats strong. He made a daring play in 2018, acquiring the Carolina Panthers from Jerry Richardson. Not content with just one team, he expanded his sports portfolio, launching the Major League Soccer franchise Charlotte Football Club in the heart of Charlotte. But the true mark of the man is not the size of his wallet, but the breadth of his generosity. David regularly charters a private jet, his closest companions in tow, to cheer on the Pittsburgh Steelers at their home games. Yet, his philanthropy extends far beyond the confines of his close friends and the football field. Education and the Jewish community are causes that hold a special place in David's heart. His generosity has found a home in the University of Pittsburgh, where he has funded scholarships, outreach programs, and academic centers. A year after he joined the Billionaire Club, David also donated a staggering $55 million to Carnegie Mellon's business school. In recognition of his unwavering commitment to education, the school was renamed the David A. Tepper School of Business. David is also a champion for public education reform in New Jersey, a cause he supports through his B4NJ Kids nonprofit. His compassion extends to those grappling with food insecurity, as he has made significant contributions to the food bank and the United Jewish Appeal. At the heart of Tepper's success, and his capacity to give back, is his audacious investment strategy. His knack for identifying distressed debt and stocks with untapped potential is a skill that has served him well in both finance and philanthropy. Now removed from the fervor of Wall Street, Tepper is a bastion of support and guidance, not in the world of high finance, but on the sun-dappled fields of his children's sports games. As he stands on those fields, the memory of a crumbling Russia and a world in panic seems like a distant echo. Here, Tepper coaches with a paternal passion, his legacy no longer tied to the ebb and flow of stocks, but to the rise and fall of a soccer ball or the crack of a bat. Each game is less about keeping score and more about imparting the values that helped him navigate the complexities of life and the markets: resilience, strategy, and seizing moments that matter. His wealth, significant though it may be, doesn't cast the longest shadow. Instead, it is the lessons learned from a life spent playing the long game that define him. Freed from the constraints of his upbringing, Tepper has rewritten his narrative, no longer the reticent child from Stanton Heights, nor solely the mastermind behind Appaloosa Management. He stands as the father he once needed, the father he has chosen to be, a beacon of unwavering strength and love.